Good day to everyone, friends, fellow men, and welcome to our channel. Today we have the third part of our welding lesson. Today we're going to show you how can we use welding. We're going to show you tips in welding. First thing we're going to do, for safety first, let's wear our gear. Okay, it's a bit too baggy, this welding gear. It's like what they wear in for hip hop. Okay, now that we're wearing welding gear, we can start. Don't forget to turn on your fan if possible. If possible, you have a fan in your welding workplace. If you don't, but you're outside, go to a place. You shouldn't be against the wind. For example, the wind is going this direction. Weld in a certain way so that the wind blows the fumes away from you. First thing we're going to do is to put on the ground, turn on our welding machine. Let's set up the amperes depending on the welding rod that we're going to use. Like what I've told you before, if you're using the 2mm rod, what you're going to use is 50 to 70 amperes. It should be in the box of the welding rod that you're going to buy. It's going to be written in the back, the size of the rods and the amperes you need for it. One thing that is important in welding is the position. So for example, let's turn off our machine for now. For example, this is the piece of metal that you're going to weld. This is the 90-degree angle. Take off around 20 degrees. So if you're meant to weld something in a 90-degree angle, the best position for you to weld is around 70 degrees. Not like this, nor like this, slanted like this. But there are those that have a hard time. For example, myself, what I'm welding is quite high. If I'm going to be here, that's 70 degrees. That's around 70 degrees angle. So I may find this quite difficult because the table is quite high. So what I'm going to do, so to make things easier for me, and this may be more comfortable for you as well, bend your welding rod a bit. If you bend it like this, you're still welding in that 70-degree angle, like that, right? You can weld now like this. That's a tip. Another tip is, when you're welding, don't be scared. As soon as you touch it, you're gonna pull away. You're gonna pull away straight away. You should be light-handed. Light-handed, like that. So put it close, put it down, and just lightly tap it lightly. There are those that when they weld, as soon as it touches, they get scared and pull it back. What you're going to do is lightly. Another tip is, depends on what type of metal you're welding. So for example, you're welding a thick piece of metal, you have to use a thick welding rod. Now, if you're welding something quite thin and you use a thick welding rod, it's gonna pierce through the metal. I'll show you what I mean. We have a piece of metal here. It's a tube that we're going to weld using different sizes of welding rods. We're going to show the effects using these various welding rods. Let us use the thick one first. The thick one starts at 90 amperes. This is a 3.2. So it starts at 90 to 140 amperes. So let's weld using this. Like what I told you, I bend the welding rod because what I'm welding right now is a bit too high for me if I do it straight, because the table is quite high. So right angle, so put it down to 70 degrees. So it'll be hard if it's like this, so I won't have a difficult time. I bend the welding rod. So I still have the 70 degrees, that one what I'm aiming for, or what is ideal when it comes to welding. Okay, let us try. I put it to 130 amperes. This is a 3.2 welding rod.
Ayan, tignan nyo po nangyari, nabubutas po. Yan, nakikita nyo po, nag-uumpisa pa.
See what happened?
Ay nabutas na.
It just burnt through the metal. We're just starting, and it's already burnt a hole through. So this particular rod is not meant to be used to a metal tube that is too thin like this, because this rod is quite thick. You need to put up the amperes, because if you don't, it's not gonna melt if you put down the amperes. Now let us try a 2.5 millimeter welding rod. It still burnt a hole. Let us put down the amperes, because the applicable amperes for this ranges from 60 to 90, as it says in our information here. See, if you see this, what we're welding here, in the first one, it burnt a hole straight through. On this one, we're able to move a bit, but it still burnt the hole through eventually. So this is not the appropriate rod still. It's still too thick. Now, let us try our 2 millimeter welding rod. 2 millimeter amperes ranges between 50 to 70 amperes. We'll set it to 60 amperes. So we were able to weld this, our thin metal, using a 2 millimeter welding rod.